Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
The government handing out notices for people to prove that they're legally residing in shantytowns.
Labor Minister Dion Fowlkes weighs in on the latest comments coming from web shop bosses.
Merchants hunker down for the increase in value-added tax.
There's no need to fear next week's VAT increase. That's according to Minister of National Security Marvin Dames. Find out why straight ahead.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, shantytown residents throughout New Providence got a shock this afternoon as members of the government's Shantytown Committee showed up with notices to provide proof that their homes were built legally. It's the latest in government's move to rid the country of these areas. Kyle Joaquin tells us more.
This right here is a copy of the notice that was handed out today. On one side, the writing is in English. The other side, the writing is in Creole. Now, this area that we're standing in is just one of 11 touched by the team today.
Ministry of Works.
Boots hit the ground as a team comprising of officials from the Ministry of Works, the Shantytown Committee, and heavily armed police officers went door to door throughout 11 shantytowns in New Providence, handing out notices. These letters require residents to provide proof that the structures they live in are illegal or leave.
Well, what happened is these notices are 3 different sets of notices. This is the first one, and then we'll provide another notice for them to vacate the premises. And then we also have the last notice, which will ask them to remove any derelict vehicles.
The notice reads, "This is to advise that failure to obtain a valid building permit before commencing or carrying on any building operation may result in legal proceedings being brought against that person." Well, after receiving his notice, Michelle Paul, who said he's been living here since 1994, said he doesn't know what's going on. If you are a person residing in or landowner in a shantytown and you are in possession of an approved building permit, do you have a building permit to be here? You have a permit to be here? You're renting this from someone?
Yes, I run that bit. I pay I finish
You pay
lease
$200
that.
a week to live here?
Lease that
Oh, to lease it.
every
Every week or every month?
Every year. Every year. I pay him $200. Chaque every year I pay him $200.
Right.
That he ain't pay government.
Residents have 14 days to provide the building permit. We followed closely behind government officials today as they trekked through mud and puddles within these shantytowns, passing out these notices. The government has made it its mission to rid the country of these areas with poor living conditions due to the health hazards they pose. According to Morgan Graham, who is the secretary for the Shantytown Committee, though they knocked out 11 of these areas in Nassau, this initiative isn't restricted to the capital.
Well, a team is going to be dispatched on Saturday to assist with the enumeration exercise in Abaco.
Eager onlookers and those who occupy these wooden structures came out to find out what was going on. Others locked themselves inside and discovered the notices when they finally ventured outside.
They should possess building permit and also an occupancy certificate. So we're providing them with a phone number at the Ministry of Works that they can call to make an appointment to come in and bring those documentation for us to verify.
For our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
With an increasing number of web shop owners warning of potential layoffs and nearly 400 jobs in the gaming industry on the line, Labor Minister Dion Fowlkes confirming today that government officials are in active discussions with gaming house operators. Fowlkes says should the axe fall on those web shop workers, the government will do whatever it takes to bring some level of comfort. Jasmine Brown has that.
Fowlkes was coy in his response as he would not say what the government planned on doing to prevent the job loss, except to say that the government does not want to see any Bahamian suffer.
The government will not sit down idly and allow those people to suffer.
Several operators have announced that job losses are on the way. Paradise Games CEO Kevin Knowles warned his staff that redundancies and store closures are a possibility days after Island Luck revealed that it plans to lay off up to 350 employees. Meanwhile, Ashore Wind announced that it will close 11 of its locations nationwide and terminate 50 employees. The looming layoffs follow the government's announcement of a new sliding scale tax on the revenue of gaming houses.
I think it's very unfortunate that they adopted this position.
Last week, folks asked web shop owners to take a wait-and-see approach and hold off on layoffs as the sliding scale tax has yet to be implemented. Folks says if Island Luck and other web shops cut jobs, the Minutes administration will assist where it can, whether it be through unemployment benefits or some other means.
But in any event, we will do whatever we can to bring comfort if it does happen.
On May 30th, the government revealed that gaming house revenue could be taxed up to 50%. The government has also proposed taxing gaming patrons through a 5% stamp tax applied on deposits and any non-online games or digital sales. The increases take effect on July 1st. However, not all gaming house operators are looking to cut jobs over the next few weeks. While he initially predicted that new taxes for the gaming industry would be a death sentence, CEO of FML Group of Companies Craig Flowers said over the weekend that he is not prepared to announce layoffs before he can determine how his customers react to the decision to tax deposits.
I was very pleased to see that Mr. Craig Flowers today said that he does not intend to let anybody go, that his objective is to save the jobs, and that he's not going to act prematurely. He's going to wait and see what happens.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, just days before the VAT hike is implemented, merchants are hunkering down. Meanwhile, wholesalers and retailers we spoke to are not happy about the change, but are preparing nonetheless. Our Jillian Gray reports.
6 days before the new rate of value-added tax takes effect, and business owners throughout the country are scrambling to adjust their systems in preparation for the controversial tax hike.
Well, boy, we'll just have to see how this one goes.
There's an additional 60% going on the backs of the poor people.
As of July 1st, customers will pay 12% VAT on goods and services. Additionally, certain breadbasket items will be VAT exempt. The biggest struggle for merchants will be the grunt work of switching their price tags and POS systems.
That's going to be another headache because in this store we have thousands and thousands of prices to change. That's going to be another headache for us. All right, and then on top of that, we need to change the prices in the system. Right, that's another headache.
Just implementing it will be a little problem. I mean, it's actual work. We ain't ready as yet because we can't add the tax on now. So we'll have to be fully prepared like midnight, July 1st.
In the meantime, Basil Evans, a manager at Tile King, said customers are rushing in to make purchases before the tax hike takes effect.
We have people scrambling now to do their purchases before the VAT comes. So yes, people are aware it's coming, so they're trying to shop early to avoid paying the 60%.
While they're grateful for the last-minute rush, these merchants fear business will slow down after July 1st.
We just gotta wait and see how it turns out.
Yes, business will decrease, but again, certain things you do need, certain things you need to buy. So people still gonna have to buy things, but people, go in excess in building, that's going to slow down. Like you want to build an apartment, that's going to slow down.
Meanwhile, owner of Dorset's food store, Pastor Donald Dorset, said while his small business is not required to pay VAT, he also fears a drop in profits as he will have to pay more for goods. He's predicting some small businesses won't survive the tax increase.
On the breadbasket items, I have to sell the items what the government says it should be sold for. And I see a decline in the amount of profit that I as a small businessman can make. Well, every time there's an increase, you pay the wholesaler more, they're going to add 12% onto it. They added the 7.5, they're going to add 12%.
The increase in value-added tax will take effect as of July 1st. However, the exemptions on breadbasket items will not take effect until August 1st. This, the government says, is in an effort to give merchants a chance to adjust their point-of-sale systems and inventory systems. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
And nearly 2 weeks after Bahamians protesting an impending VAT hike chased him down Bay Street, Minister of National Security Marvin Dames is insisting that voting yes to value-added tax was in the best interest of the country. As Jared Higgs tells us, the minister is also commenting on the firing of those MPs who voted against the increase.
Now, following the no votes from those 4 so-called rebel MPs, Dames says he was constantly asked why he didn't vote his conscience. He says, as a matter of fact, he did. It was a tumultuous week for those members of parliament who voted against government's VAT increase, with 3 of them being fired from their government-appointed posts. Dame says ultimately he saw things differently from them.
I've listened to all of the arguments back and forth in person saying, well, you know, you should have voted your conscience. And there seems to be this view that voting no is voting your conscience. Well, I voted my conscience, and I voted yes. And I voted yes because, you know, I'm a person who like to look at the entire landscape, not only living in the present. And sometimes we get caught up in the present and forget too that there is a future.
Last week, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis told reporters in Grand Bahama that he was obligated to fire the dissenting MPs as he had a duty to uphold the country's Westminster system of government. When asked if those MPs have missed the essence of why government was increasing value-added tax, Dame said this.
Well, you know, they voted their conscience, so they said, and I would hope that they voted their conscience. You know, I mean, the bigger picture for me was a yes vote. And I think Bahamians will come to in the next few years, because we have laid out a plan as a government as to how we're going to get to a balanced budget, how we're going to rejuvenate this economy.
With job losses in the gaming sector looming, as well as an increase in value-added tax beginning on Sunday, some have speculated that increased financial pressure may lead to an uptick in crime. For his part, Dames doesn't buy that logic.
Listen, I'm not subscribed to that. I don't think that, you know, we should, I mean, say that there is a correlation between it. You know, I mean, we as a government had to take a stance, you know, and sometimes these are very difficult decisions.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Still to come on Our News, an independent senator raises concern over the proposed VAT hike. That and more when Our News returns.